Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I would like to welcome you guys to our webinar here. This one's going to be the Exactix frequently asked questions for excavators. This is going to be a part one due to, the excavator side of the things seem to have a little bit more frequently asked questions. So we're going to split it up into two parts. Today, we're going to go over level of user roles in Exactix, how to upgrade to a different role, ticket dashboard, creating a new notice, mapping features and mapping tools, and we'll have a conclusion at the end. If you have any questions, we do ask that you utilize the chat box. That way one of my South Carolina 811 teammates can answer the question, and if there's a question that needs to be asked at the end, we'll do that at the end. So there are three different levels in Exactix. The first level is our Excavator web ticket, the entry-level web users. Then we have our Excavator web tickets users. And the third level is our Excavator web tickets plus users. The entry level users is exactly what it is. It's our entry level. Anytime someone creates an online Exactix, they will be put in the entry level. Anytime this user enters in a notice, submits a notice, these notices will go through the call center first to be checked by our customer service representatives before a ticket number is issued. If there's any, mistakes or any questions on the notice, then we will reach out to the user prior to submitting the ticket to get that information corrected on the ticket. The second level, the Excavator web tickets users, this is the middle tier. In this tiers, the users will submit their tickets, they'll map the ticket, and they will be issued a ticket number immediately after they have done that. Becoming an Excavator web tickets user, you do hold the responsibility of everything you put on that ticket, and you are ensuring that everything is under South Carolina 811 guidelines when you submit that ticket. The Excavator web tickets plus users, that's our highest role on the system. This user not only will submit their ticket and map it out and get that ticket number immediately, but they also have the option to do secondary actions, ticket functions on the Exactix site. So you'll be able to do your own no-shows, remarks, resends, and cancels on the Exactix site instead of calling into the center to have that done. Now, we always get the question, well, how do you upgrade your account? As you're seeing, let me share my screen. You can see here, this is the South Carolina 811 website at SC811.com. To upgrade your account, the user simply goes to the Excavators tab. You have to scroll down a little bit. And after the Excavator manual, here are the two user agreements for the higher two levels. You have the Excavator web tickets agreement, and if you click on that, it will let you know what you are agreeing to before you sign it. And the same goes for the Excavator web tickets plus agreement. So you click on it, and it takes you to a Google form, and you just fill all out this information, and it'll come to us, and then we will reach out to you and give you the user manual and everything or we will let you know if you have to take the required training as well. Because you can't just upgrade to entry level and then to a plus. You're going to have to take that required training, and all the training is online through our Coursera. So this is how you will upgrade if you want to decide that you want to be something other than an entry level user. The way you can know what role you are in Exactix is if you click the little person at the little right and you go to my profile. If you hit the security, you'll see here what role you are in. Right here, I am an Excavator Web Tickets Plus user, and I have more as well. So if you decide to upgrade, that is how you will upgrade. You will have to sign that user agreement. If you are required to take the training, then we will give you the information on how to get to the training. Once the training is complete, then we can add you to the role that you have signed the user agreement for. We'll now go into Exactix. We're going to talk about the ticket dashboard first. To go to the ticket dashboard, you have two ways once you sign into Exactix. The user can click tickets, or they can click go to ticket dashboard. Here you'll have two options. I have three, but most users will only have two: the My Tickets and the My Office Tickets. My Tickets are going to be any tickets that you yourself has submitted or called in. My Office Tickets will list any tickets that anybody that is in your office has called in or submitted. Now, if you are looking for a ticket that your coworker has submitted and you cannot, it's not pulling up for you in Exactix, you definitely want to reach out to us at the help desk or the support line to double check and make sure you are appropriately linked to the person who submitted that ticket. It's important because that person, when they submitted the ticket, their company name, they might have put it as being ABC Boring. And under your account, you probably have your company name as ABC Boring LLC. That makes a difference of whether you can pull up a ticket. So we have to make sure that company names match in order for you to be able to view your coworkers' tickets that they submitted. But if you ever come into that instance where you can't get a ticket to pull up, just definitely reach out with that ticket number so we can look at it and make sure you're linked correctly. To submit a new ticket in Exactix, the user will select New at the top right-hand corner, and this will bring up the request locate form on the left and the South Carolina 811 map on the right. Now, the request form has 4 sections. You have the excavator information, work information, dates and work type, and your site information. Your excavator information is already going to be filled out due to it's based upon the information on your account. If anything needs to be changed, you just need to reach out so we can change that for you. The best way to utilize this form when filling it out is to definitely tab over. And the reason why I say that is because once you saw when I click out of that site contact name, it highlighted it red, letting me know that this is required information. Sometimes people miss some information that's in there, and then that's when we have to reach out to get that information before we can submit the ticket. So definitely tabbing over to each field is the best way when filling out this form. On your site contact, you will get a list of anybody who's linked in your office. If you ever come across where someone is not in your office, you do have the option to create a new contact And when you do that, the option comes up to either use this contact on this ticket only, or you can click it to add this contact to your office. That way, the next time you fill out a locate notice and this person is your site contact, you don't have to type the information over and over and over again. I'm not going to go over each field. I'm just going to go over the ones that are new to us here in Exactix. The add and remove subcontractors is definitely a new one. Now, when adding a subcontractor, you hit that button and the subcontractor box pops up. As you can see, it'll list some that I've already used previously. I can either add them or I can create a new one. Company ID does not have to be filled out by the user, or the user does not have to know that. That will automatically filled out once you have select the person that's going to be your subcontractor. And you fill out all of the required information. And you click add, and that person will now be added as an assigned subcontractor to this locate notice. If you need to remove this subcontractor or modify it, you just hit whichever button to do that in order to do those two things. If you have no more subcontractors to add, you click close. And the way you know that that subcontractor has been added is over here in parentheses. You see I have a number 1. So however many subcontractors you've added to the ticket will be, that number will be in this box in parentheses for you. So whether it's 3, 4, you'll see that box. You'll see that number, excuse me. In the work information field, everything is still the same as previously. The only one that has been added is the job ID. And this field was added for people who have, job ID numbers that go along with the work that they're going to be taking place. This is where you can now put that in the field instead of putting it in your directions or in your instructions field. This is not a required field. As you can see, it didn't turn red. But this is here for people who do have a job ID or a contract, number to put on there. Now the done for field, the question does come up, well, I'm not doing any work for any of these people that's listed. You do not have to select any of these names, company names in this field. You can type in this field. So if I'm doing this work for my company, I can simply just type SC811 in that field. The next thing that is different in Exactix is the work type field. We now have a secondary work type for people, and that's just if you are doing more than one type of work, you now have 2 fields to enter in those different type of works. So if I was going to install a deck, as well as I'm going to do some irrigation work, I can put it in the appropriate fields. Now the site information section, that one is really, really different than, the prior system that we had. The dig site type. As you can see, it's automatically set on street/address. But if you click it, you also have the option to do intersection. If you are going to be, doing work at a physical address or along the street, then street/address field is the best option. And the reason why is this will help pick up the search results over here on the map in the right-hand side. So it'll search for the physical address that you've entered in the street address field. If you're going to be doing work at intersection, then it will help to put intersections. So if once the system finds the intersection on the map, it'll automatically map the intersection for you in blue, and you don't have to map it yourself. Now, when filling out all the information, one major difference is when you put in the address that you are looking for, you will be given a whole list of options with ranges of addresses with the street. When searching for the address or the street, you want to select the option that the address falls in. So my address that I'm looking for is 810 Dutch Square Boulevard. I'm going to select the option that has 0 through 1299 Dutch Square Boulevard. When I click it, Columbia automatically pops us as the place, and the system automatically found it and mapped it for me. When doing the nearest intersection, when you click in that field, you do get options up, and you always want to select the nearest intersection that's within 1320 feet. So I'm going to select Dutch Square Mall, and it highlighted the intersection in red for me. Directions. Directions is a required field, but of course, if the address or the streets that you are asking to be marked are automatically located on the map, then it's no longer required. Directions are required for when the address or the streets are not on the map, and that's when you have to give the locators turn-by-turn directions on how to get to the site. So if directions are not needed, you just put NA in that field to be your placeholder. In the instructions field, when you click in there, there are some automatic marking instructions that come up for you. These are the most common marking instructions that are most likely to be put on a locate notice, but you do not have to select anything in this field. You can type and put your specialized marking instructions in there. If I want them to mark a 30-foot radius around the stake located at the front of the property, I can put that. As long as your marking instructions are within the SC811 guidelines, you can type in that field. You do not have to select what pops up that box. And this remarks box right here, this is used for secondary actions only. So this isn't a field to just make, comments or remarks that, you have or anything like that. I've noticed some people will put, please mark with paint and flags and all that stuff. That's not for that. You can put that in the marking instructions. If you have some extra instructions like that, this remarks field is to be left blank unless it's a secondary action such as a no-show and all of those good things. Then that's when you would leave your appropriate remarks to go with those secondary actions. The next thing we'll go over is going to be with the mapping. I wanted to introduce the mapping features that Exactix have, as well as the mapping tools. So your mapping features are all going to be at the top of the map. The first one here, you have the little magnifying glass. This is your search feature. So when clicking on the search feature, you can search up here, as you can see, streets, places, points of interest. So if you are searching for a street, you type in that street and it'll highlight it in red for you. If you're doing an intersection, the way you search that is you make sure you put the and symbol and then you type the second road that you're going to be searching for and it'll find those intersections. As you can see, it's 2 of them here because it intersects twice. You can also search counties, places, and the point of interest, of course. Now, point of interest, this means like places. Like, so if I want to search for Dutch Square, which is the mall, I would type it in and select it. And then the map will then put a red push pin letting me know where the Dutch Square Mall is located. And as you can see, you have several different places. You have the bank, Wells Fargo's Radio Shack. So you can search those different things, points of interest, to get you to the area where you are needing to map. The best that points of interest is best used, especially when you're looking for a place that's located, near a new subdivision, searching for a Dollar General that's across the street from it or things like that. That's where you want to utilize that search feature to get yourself in the area of where the new subdivision or the address that's not located on the map is located at. You can also search latitude and longitude coordinates. You just have to make sure you switch the parameter to lat and long, and as you can see, it change up there. And you type in your latitude and longitude, press enter, and your red push pin will come. So that search feature is definitely a good feature to use when the address is not found on the map, to be able to get yourself into the area so you can map it out on the map. One unique feature that also is with this search feature is that you have a history down here. So anytime you want to go back to a place that you searched previously, you can just click on it and it'll bring it back up for you instead of having to search it again. The next feature is your zoom in and zoom out. And of course, that does exactly what it says, zooming in and then zooming out of the map. Next, you have your show map information at current location. Now, this is for what happens is the icon, if I can get it to come up, when you hover over an address, the information will come up of what that area is or the address is. So you can see got 828 Dutch Square Boulevard. It stays up there for like probably about 5 seconds and then you'll have to hover over it again. But that's just definitely a good feature to be able to see what address is what. And I've noticed if a new subdivision, is still being in the process of being built, they'll have these little red points that you can click on. And if you click on that show map information at current location, it'll actually pull the information up of that address for you. The next one is show map information for location. Now this one is similar to this one, but you just have to actually left click in order for the information to come up. And it's not working for me. Oh, it went away. As you can see, it went away. So you got to make sure it's highlighted in green to let you know that it's working. I don't know why it keeps, let's see. There we go. Technology. But once you left click on it, it'll show you the information as well. The difference between this one and this one stays up for you. So you don't have that little 5 seconds. You actually, it'll stay up until you exit out or if you left click someplace else. The next tool is the measure distance, which is the ruler tool. And it does exactly, if you need to measure out distance, you left click at your starting point and then double left click when you've gone to your ending point. Your total footage will be given of, what you've measured. And then when you're done, you just click done, or you can click clear to remove it. The next feature is the push pins. And these allows you to place, multiple push pins on the map to mark certain locations. So if you wanted to mark a location and then you wanted to go to someplace else, no matter how far you zoom out, you'll see your red push pin down there to where the location at, and you just zoom back in to go back to the location that you were at. So it's just a good tool to like save your place if you need to go look at another area on the map. This one here is your position to your current location. This one is only good if this is for the people who are out on the field and have their, their iPads and things like that. What that do is it actually takes you to where you're at. So if you're in your office, if you click that button, it's going to just go to where your office is because it's based upon where you're at, your current location. This is just a toggle full screen to just go to full screen if you wanted to, instead of having it like this. You wanted to see the map full screen, you can click that button so you can have a wider view of the map. And then here you have your layers and you have the different ones. The one that's the most important is the base map. And this, if you click satellite, you'll see the satellite view. This is a really, really good view when you're doing unknowns, such as working in easements. You can see the easements as well as the new subdivisions. If it's already been starting to be graded and cleared, you can see that most of the times with the new subdivisions if you click on that satellite view instead of street map. Now, those are your mapping features. Your mapping tools are these on the left-hand side of the screen of the map. The first one here is your edit dig site. And this is if you needed to edit the dig site, you just highlight it, click it, highlight it in green, click on the area, and then you just move the points. When you click the edit dig site, you then will get the option that comes up to save it, cancel or discard that, or you can undo what you did. So this is good tool to use if you've drawn a bigger area of the 1320 feet. You can edit those lines to get it under that 1320 feet so you can submit the ticket. The next tool is going to be the buffer street or map feature tool. And this is when the users select an address range or a street segment to remap the dig site. So you click it to highlight it green. You double click on the dig site, and as you can see, my grid came up, and then you can select a different area if you are needing to map another site. Again, your save, your cancel discard comes up, and your undo. And your dig site will change. The next is your draw polygon tool. Your draw polygon tool is used to mark a large work site that the 250-foot buffer of the draw circle tool will not cover. This tool is also used when you're marking multiple side-by-side addresses. So if you are marking multiple side-by-side addresses, your draw polygon tool will need to be the tool that you're going to use. You left click to start and left click each time you need a stopping point. And then when you get to your final stopping point, you double left click. Your save button will come up and you hit save. And that is if I needed these 5 addresses here to be marked. You will use the mark polygon tool to make sure all the addresses are covered that you're asking to be marked. The next tool that we use is the draw circle tool. And again, the draw circle tool has your 250-foot radius. So this is used to mark your intersections or your single addresses. So when you left click it, then you double left click, you can see the 250 feet there. You click save, and that is your draw circle tool. The next tool is the draw line tool. And this is used when you're marking along a road, a right-of-way, easements, railroad tracks. You will use the draw line circle. And just like all the other tools, you left click to start at your starting point. And then you just go for your footage down the road that you're asking them to mark. When you get to your stopping point, you double left click. You click save. And your dig site would be saved. These are all of your mapping features and your mapping tools that you have on Exactix. Another good feature that we didn't have on the previous system is attachments. You can attach, files to the locate notice request, but just keep in mind that attaching files is not marking instructions. So you still have to give detailed marking instructions as to where you want the locators to mark. And just to see how the intersection, I'm going to reset it, dig site works. You put your first street in the street address field and your second street that you want them to mark in your cross street section. That's Bakerfield. Let's see. Let's choose another one. There we go. And it will highlight it in blue for you. So I have Dutch Square Boulevard and Broad River Road. On the other one, I think it's because it's a three-way, it didn't map it automatically. Yeah. So you would just have to take the mark point tool. Double left click and save. But for the two ways, it definitely matches it for you. And if you have any questions regarding mapping or anything regarding Exactix, you want to definitely reach out to the support help desk. There is our phone number at 1-800-290-2783, option number 1. And our email at support@sc811.com. And if you're looking for a quicker response, the chat now feature is definitely the best option, and it's located at the bottom right of the SC811 website. Next week, we'll go into more of frequently asked questions as far as the guidelines that come up when you're submitting a ticket, as far as like distance, going along the road, how to map a new subdivision, things like that. We'll go over in the part 2 of the Exactix Excavator frequently asked questions. Kareem or Matt, are there any questions in the chat that you guys see that need to be answered? All right, so I see Robin has a question. So just to be clear to myself, the red buffer doesn't necessarily have to touch the blue lines, correct? Correct. For an intersection, it doesn't have to touch the road, the address road. You just want to make sure it's within the 1340 feet. Gracie Snyder, can you map an example of a new development? That's going to be covered in the next section in detail, but I can show you how to map one right quick. We have time. We try to keep them under an hour. Let me go back to Exactix. So it's a new subdivision that's in, ooh, what county is that? I think it's Charleston County. Yeah. I do know it's off of Sheep Island Road. Oh, so that's Berkeley County. I was wrong. All right, so this subdivision is off of Sheep Island Road. And I know I believe the entrance road is called Bradford Place. I could be wrong. I'm going off of memory right now. But, oh, let me change this to street and address. So when mapping new subdivisions, the first thing is, you want to, not want to, but it is required to have marking instructions. So the first thing I do when I'm mapping new subdivision is I turn on my satellite. Look at that. This is what I was talking about earlier, as far as you can see the lots being graded. So it just gives you an idea of where you need to map. So here, you just want to make sure you give detailed directions. So if you didn't have detailed directions from your field people, you can utilize, Exactix to get those directions by taking your measure tool. Here, I see Leisure Drive. So I'm going to start from Leisure Drive, and I can see it's about 667 feet north of Leisure Drive, and it's on the west side of the road. Now, as far as the lot, you would have to, get more directions to that because we don't have the lots on there. But this is how you can measure out. To get to the location, and you will put all of that information in your directions field. You would take the Mark Polygon tool, and you will want to map around the entire area where that lot is located. When doing this, you want to make sure you do it under 1320 feet. Because if you do more than 1320 feet, it's going to give you an error message saying that your dig site is invalid. So you just want to make sure you mark a big enough area around where the lot is located at, so all the members that are in the area will be contacted. Once you have all your required information as far as your directions, your marking instructions, you then would submit the ticket. Did that answer your question, Gracie, of how you would locate those new subdivisions? You're welcome. The unknowns, though, that's a little bit more, detail. So I can do that definitely next week on how to do unknowns. But it's similar as far as how to find it. You want to utilize your search. Yeah, so you just want to make sure you utilize your search feature and things like that to be able to find those certain things as far as, new subdivisions when it's not. And as you can see, when I typed in that address, it automatically told me that that street was not found. So that'll let you know that you got to do a little bit more work and find it on the map to be able to map the area where it's located at. But definitely a great feature is turning on that satellite view so you can see the earth view of where those new subdivisions. Not all of them are going to be like that, but majority that I've run into, they're like this, where they have begin to grade and divide those lots out. Are there any more questions over the things that we went over today, or anything else I can answer right quick? We have about 15 more minutes. If not, then I'll go ahead and close this session out. And thank you guys for attending, and hope to see you guys next week as we go over more guidelines on how to map in Exactix. All right, I don't see any more questions coming through, so I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar. Oh, Karen has a question or raise her hand. Karen, I think you can take yourself off mute. Or was it by accident? No? Okay, it's okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Thank you guys for coming. Again, this will be on our YouTube page. If you ever need to go back and you just, have a little refresher of what we went over, you can always, go to our YouTube page and this stream will be on there. Thank you guys for coming, and I hope everybody has a great Friday and a great weekend. Thank you.